Can you tell me whether there's somebody buried in my house?
There is.
Oh my God.
Welcome to Scene Sleuths, where every 2 weeks we discuss true crime content. I'm Adrianna.
I'm Jasmine.
And this week we're going to talk about First 48, Season 15, Episode 33, What Lies Beneath.
Lock his ass up! Lock his ass up! You're going to jail. You're going to jail.
All right, so to get right into this episode, this one is kind of crazy. It started off one way, ended a completely different way. So let's go ahead and get into it. So just starting off, we know how First 48 starts off. The guy comes on his little creepy voice in the First 48.
Then, on the way to the station, Joey makes a startling claim. He says a man was killed in his house and buried in the basement.
The police, okay, I tried. Anyways, but so the police respond to a call. So they get a call to a domestic dispute. The caller, whose name is Jeff Munt, he calls and says that his boyfriend's threatening him and he wants help. He's sobbing and he's just telling him to send help. So the police get there. They arrest the boyfriend, who is Joey Banis. And then from there, things get a little different. So while Joey is en route to the police station, he just drops some information that, oh, there's a dead body in my basement.
Bruh. Nobody asked for this information, by the way. That's what was funny to me. Like,
unprovoked.
You got picked up on a domestic dispute charge and then you say it's a body in the basement.
All right. So getting into the investigation. So first things first, when the police get to jail, they run a background check on Joey. They find out that Joey has a little background. He's got some possession charges, mostly possession charges, and then some other little lesser crimes. He had a second-degree felony on there, but it wasn't for anything like violent. So then we kind of get an introduction to the police.
We're sitting at the office, getting ready to go home, and we get a phone call from the beat guy that says there's a guy that he's got arrested that has some information on a homicide. I told him to bring him to the office.
Guy is ready to go home. He's ready to go for the night. So they start to kind of ask Joey some questions about the body and why he felt like he wanted to tell this information. Joey tells us that Jeff, the initial caller, is a NSA agent, and he's seen different passports with Jeff's name and different names on it.
Which was a red flag.
Now, I will say that Joey, he looked like he was in cahoots with drugs at the moment. Very much gave that vibe. So as the police are, talking to him, you can tell that they are clearly a little taken aback by this information he decides to drop. After they do some talking to Joey, they kind of go back and forth. They ask Jeff, just kind of general questions about his relationship with Joey. So I will say, Joey says that this murder takes place around the previous Thanksgiving. At this point in time, it is June. So
I didn't even notice that.
It's June at this point in time, so that's a long time to keep a body. I'm just saying.
I literally did not even realize it had been. I do remember the Thanksgiving thing, but I didn't realize the month or time that this arrest happened.
It's quite some time had passed. So when they interview Jeff says, yeah, I don't know anything about this body, so to speak. I guess let me go back a little bit. They went to the house to speak to Jeff because Jeff was still at home since they had arrested Joey. Jeff was cooperative at home, and he agreed to go to the station and answer more questions while the police carried out a search of the body where Joey told them the body was. So at jail, Jeff is saying, he's claimed that I was, in the CIA and NSA, and there's been some, signs that he's been using drugs, and Don't know where he got this from. He claimed that he would frame me for murder one day. He's been saying that a lot to me, and then recently I've been feeling a little scared of him. Like my safety's in danger now.
Another red flag.
So the police are very much like, very different tone from interviewing Joey initially. Joey kind of is giving these kind of drug-fueled accusations out here, and Jeff is more like, yeah, he's on drugs. He sounds crazy, because he sounds crazy to me. So that, it was working for Jeff. So they go back and they ask Joey details of the murder. So now we get some new facts.
No, before they ask about the details of the murder, don't they go to the house and actually find the body?
So while Jeff is being interviewed, they find the body.
I only remember that because I just remember I kept thinking, why is everybody dressed so casually? Like they look like they all came back from a picnic or something. The cops had on like polos and khaki shorts. Everybody was at the house digging up the body in street
business
clothes.
Casual.
Like, not even business casual, because when they showed them calling the actual police station, they had on business casual clothes and they was in wrinkled up polos. And I was like, what is going on in the field?
So they find the body. So now the investigation turns a bit more serious because now Joey's accusations are founded. So they go back to ask Joey about what happens during the murder. This is where we get more facts about Joey and Jeff's life. Now, I did not mention that they are a gay couple. So it's just,
it wasn't necessary to mention.
It was Joey Jeff.
Love
they could
love.
have been intense friends.
Love is love.
Okay. I love you. Would you do me that?
Love is love. We don't love is love each other like that. So it's not that kind of love is love on this channel.
We'll talk about it later.
No, we won't.
So when they're talking to Joey about the night of the murder, Joey claims that they are with this guy named Jamie Carroll. It's a drug-fueled night. They're with him essentially because he has meth and money, the double M's.
All right.
Sorry. All right. So, so he has meth and money, and so Joey says, Jeff states, who's gonna miss Jamie if we kill him and take his money and meth?
Jamie came over and he had several ounces of meth on him. God knows how much money he had on him. Jeff, he said, I wonder if anybody would miss Jamie.
Joey doesn't necessarily agree, so he claims that while they're all in bed, Jeff starts to stab Jamie, and then essentially he shoots him. Now, when the police are asking Jeff about this, Jeff has no idea what Joey's talking about. He states that when he comes back in from out of town, so he was apparently going to go visit his family during Thanksgiving, so he had no idea this was going on. He noticed some things around the house when he came back. He said it looked like Joey tried to clean. He moved some things around, and he moved around some plastic containers, some Rubbermaid plastic big containers. Now, the body was found in a Rubbermaid plastic container, so I'll say that. So at this point, the police just start to do this back and forth between the two, and they can't determine who's telling the truth. So they asked Jeff to take a lie detector test, and this is when things again turn. So before Jeff is even set up on the polygraph machine, the polygrapher tells him,
so if I ask you if you knew anything about this case,
Well, my answer would have to be yes. I did know something about the murder.
I'm going to ask you a question. He said, I'm going to ask you if you know anything about the murder. And Jeff goes, well, wait, if you're going to ask me about the murder, I knew about the murder. Completely contradicting everything he told the police up to this point. So our very straight-laced, seemingly non-drug using Jeff has now confessed his knowledge of the murder that just moments before he knew nothing about. How did that make you feel when you saw that part?
You mad?
No.
I just thought it was funny because for several reasons. First of all, so y'all got high, and this is before, I guess what that happened, what I'm about to talk about happens after we find that out. So after we find that out, I was just like, oh, okay. New information, way to bury the lead, but go on. Then they start to talk about how they got high, I think, or they mention it again, or does Joey tell his story first?
Joey tells first, and then Jeff.
Jeff tries to do the polygraph, and they were like, this guy knows something. And then he tells his side of the story.
Right.
And all I got at the end of that was, so basically y'all got high on meth and killed your third.
But you were motivated for the money and the meth.
But will you want us to believe that Joey is the only crazy one here?
Well, I have another theory about that too. I'll get into that. I'll get into that in a second as well.
I just felt like if y'all are doing meth together, y'all are both meth heads, no?
Yeah. I would have to agree to that. That's kind of how that works.
But anyway, yeah, so
after this, they essentially tell the same story, but flip whoever the killer is. So it comes to find out that Jamie was stabbed 6 times and shot once, corroborating Joey's story. So Joey had points were made. They kind of came down on Jeff a little bit harder during interrogation.
You guys decided that you were going to rob this guy. You were going to take his money and take his dough and kill him because nobody would miss him. And not once has somebody said, I did it.
I did not stab Jamie. I did not kill Jamie.
I did not do this.
Okay.
I did not know what had been planned until it happened. I have never done anything wrong before in my life.
We're done.
We're done.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Because, I mean, even though we thought Joey was a little out there, everything he said had been substantiated up to that point. So, in the end, since they could not determine who murdered Jamie, Joey was sentenced to life imprisonment for the murder. Jeff ended up getting 8 years for facilitating the robbery. So, now I have some afterthoughts here. My thing is, I think Jeff is probably a little bit crazier than we all thought. I think that he played the long game with Joey in making him seem crazy by making him believe certain things. So in the event something like this did happen, he just seemed like kind of like a rambling drug addict as opposed to anyone taking him seriously. I think Jeff was like it's probably like a serial killer in the making. Because
every time it's just always
this would have been the perfect murder had Joey not opened his mouth and volunteered any information. The body had been there since June. Since Thanksgiving. It was now June, and they were simply going down for a domestic dispute.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Like, I thought it was so many red flags in the beginning that it just didn't make sense in the end either. Well, I guess it did make sense that neither one of them like copped to it. But first of all, the one of them saying that there was the passport that had a different name. Okay, that's a red flag on your end. And then the other one saying that if you break up with me, then I'm gonna frame you for murder. That's super specific. All right,
oddly specific.
So it was so many red flags on both sides that I just was very confused in the end why the cops were confused. I was surprised that they took them both to jail though. I thought that they were gonna just pick a side pretty much, but I was surprised at that. I was also surprised that Joey was the fall guy. Because maybe I'm just a suspicious person, but if you start off telling me one thing and then all of a sudden you tell me you actually knew, I'm going to think you're the mastermind.
Right.
I'm not going to think that the druggie is the mastermind.
And what sense would it make for Joey to call the police and tell the police on himself, knowing that he was the murderer? It wouldn't make any sense.
It just wouldn't make any sense for him to snitch on himself. I think he felt like he was going down, so he tried to take the other one down. And I just didn't understand why he got more years than sociopath, whatever his name was. And that was another thing. At the end of the episode, I had to go back to the beginning of the episode to figure out the names. Because Joey and Jeff,
Jamie.
When it flashed on the screen that Joey ended up getting more time or whatever, I was like, wait, what?
I thought Jeff would have.
Which one is Joey? No, I just was confused at which one was which. Like, it wasn't even, I thought when I was like, oh, now I have to go back to the beginning. And then I had to go back to the beginning because I was like, wait, this didn't even start off like this. Like, what was the reason that they found the body?
He just dropped that knowledge in.
Because when I first started watching it, I saw that it was a domestic dispute charge. And then I saw some kind of way there was a body. But it didn't dawn on me that they found out about the body because of the domestic dispute. So if he would have never snitched on them, we would have never known about the body.
We would have never known. Thus making it a possibly perfect murder.
I suppose. But what do you think the fatal flaw was here?
I feel like I had two. One was Joey running his mouth at the beginning. I'm pretty sure Joey was probably on a meth high, probably coming down of some sort, and just decided to throw that out there. So that was one of the flaws, was just Joey volunteering that information. Another I would say would be Jeff kind of breaking under the pressure instead of sticking with it. It seemed like the police sided with him more. Yeah. He just kind of made more sense during his investigation process. During his interrogation. So, yeah, if he would have just kind of held firm.
But also Jeff called the police. And I felt like the fatal flaw was them getting into it and Jeff calling the police, because I don't think that Jeff thought that Joey was going to snitch about the body.
Right.
I think that he was calling the police because he might have been scared and he was trying to get Joey in trouble, because I do think that they got into an argument and Joey was, the strength of crackheads. It's a lot. But so I think that he was scared and so he called the police, but I bet he did not think he told about the body.
Yeah. No.
Like, I'm sure he didn't think he was going to do that. So that was the fatal flaw. The fatal flaw was Joey calling the police. Don't get the police involved.
Jeff calling the police.
Oh, yeah, Jeff. Again, the names. The names was crazy on this.
Jeff, Jasmine, Joey, Jamie.
Another thing was, how First 48 has the 2 episodes? Yeah. The other episode was about some people getting killed in Florida. Yeah. And it was a lot for me. First 48 is a lot personally.
But that episode, if you highly suggested, if you have Peacock, it's season 15, episode 33. It gives you a lot of what you need. It gives you some. I think our margaritas are here. It gives.
I'm so dead.
It gives you a little drama, a little love triangle, but then it wasn't a triangle anymore. It went back to being a twofer.
Well, that's the end of this week's episode. We'll be back the week after next with a new true crime case. So come back.